on worksheet 10, I said that equations in standard form, which is again the ax, some number with x, plus by, some number with y, equals some number c, that you can't put those in the calculator because the calculator only accepts, for the graphing calculator, only accepts things in the form y equals. Now, in linear equations with lines, y equals is the slope-intercept form. Don't ask me why we don't call that standard. Someone decided that a long time ago. This one is called standard, and the one that's y equal is called slope-intercept form, even though that's the one we use more often. So if you want to put this into a calculator to check the table or to check the graph, then you have to change it into y-intercept form, which means you have to solve for y. We're actually going to use this quite a bit in the next 3 units, so this is a skill worth a lot of practice. You can really get good at this. It's going to make things a lot easier if you can do it well. So to get y by itself, we're going to get rid of the other term. We need to get rid of 2x. So we're going to subtract 2x from both sides of the equation. On this side they cancel, and we're left with just y. On this side, though, you have to be careful. We're not adding this -4 and this -2 because this is a 4 with no x, and this is a 2 with an x. So we can't add those. So instead, we're just going to write our -2x and our -4, and we're done. We are now in slope-intercept form, where -4 is the y-intercept and -2 is the slope. All right, over here on number 6, there's going to be one extra step because there's something in front of our y, but still we need to get the y term alone. So we're going to get rid of this plus 4x. We're going to do that by subtracting 4x from both sides of the equation. Again, we're not going to add this -18 and this -4 because this is x's and this is not x's. So on this side it cancels. We're left with -6y equals -4x minus 18. All right, so now we have another step still. We have to get y by itself. So this is -6 times y. So we're going to divide both sides by -6. But on this side, we have to divide everything by -6, not just one of them. Over here it cancels. We're left with y equals -4 over -6. So since both of these are negative, we're going to be positive, and it's going to be 4/6 x. We'll talk about this in a little bit more in just a second. And then -18 divided by -6 is +3. Now there's one last little step we need to do. We need to simplify this fraction. We can divide the top and the bottom by 2. We end up with y equals 2/3 x plus 3. All right, let's take a look at the next two. So we need to solve for y. So we need to get rid of this 3x. So opposite of plus 3x is minus 3x. Let's cancel on the side. We're left with -y equals -3x plus 6. And we're almost done, but we have this negative out here. So we can do one of two things. We can think of it as a -1 and divide everything by -1. Or we can change the sign as long as we change every sign. So if we change that to plus, that's okay, as long as we change every sign. So our answer is y equals 3x minus 6. All right, on this one over here, I'm sorry I have a typing error here. That should have been a y, obviously. So let's solve this one. So we have a plus x, so we need to get rid of our plus x, minus x on both sides, left with negative 5y equals negative x plus 10. Divide both sides by negative 5. And on this side, we need to divide every single term by negative 5. And y equals negative over negative is a positive, and there's an understood 1 here. So this is going to be 1/5 x plus negative 2, or just minus 2. At other times, we will need to be able to change slope-intercept into standard form. So the first thing we need to do is to get rid of any fractions, because standard form can't have any fractions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything times the bottom, the denominator of the fraction in this equation. So if I multiply everything by the denominator, I get 2y. If I multiply here, I get to cancel this and this, equals 1x and just have the top. And then 2 plus 4 is 8. Then I've got to move the x over to the other side, so I'm going to do minus 1x, minus 1x. Remember, we don't want to add those together because one of them is an x and one of them is a y. So we get minus 1x plus 2y equals 8. But we're not in standard form yet. There's one more step, because part of standard form is that a cannot be negative. So we need to change all the signs. And remember, we can do that as long as we change them all. That's plus, that's minus. So we end up with 1x, or just x, minus 2y equals negative 8. Alright, so let's do this one. Same thing. We're going to get rid of the fraction by multiplying by the denominator. So we get 5y equals, I get to cancel that and this, equals negative 1x plus 5 times 2 is 10. Move the x over by doing the opposite. Opposite of negative 1x is positive 1x. Have to do it on both sides. Remember, we're not going to add those because one of them is an x and one of them is a y. So we write 1x, or just x, plus 5y equals 10.